Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Talking Shit with your boy Sophisticated Jerk, and I got Wally up in the building.
Oh,
So, what's that?
No, I said what's going on, ladies and gentlemen.
What's good? What's good? But yeah, today, man, we're gonna review this the Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, I say interview that she did on Paul Pierce podcast. So I know it'd been floating around for a while. We was like at first, we was like, nah, we don't want to touch it, man. But then I was like combing through it, looking at a couple of pieces. I was like, oh yeah, we gotta cook her on this one. Because the issue I have, man, I think Dr. Cheyenne, definitely intelligent. But you ever see those like psychologists where it's like they're giving everybody all this advice, kind of sometimes critical, but it's like they ain't following none of their own shit.
Well, this is what happens when certain people tend to become celebrities. It just goes hit the fan.
Nah, definitely, yeah. Because it's funny when you sit back and you listen. Because I was like making sure I listened to it. Because I was like, man, I ain't trying to be unbiased or biased, just to jump on something. So I was listening to it, and man, she had some parts where she was cooking on it, but then when we get to the point where it's like down in the middle of the like whole Paul kind of flipped the script because he was taking some flack in the beginning of it, and then it was just so much hypocrisy because she don't mention the psychologist approach, as far as like the dynamics of raising people in households. So she was like trying to definitely justify her position of having kids at old age. But then she had threw God in there. Then when it got to the later in the interview, it's like all self-centeredness. So not just watching it play out, it's like, yeah, this is terrible. But all right, let me go ahead. I'm gonna pull this up so we can go ahead and start reviewing this. So I'm gonna let it play out for a while, and then we'll stop it. Wally, let me know when you want me to stop it if you hear something, and we'll jump into it.
Oh, let's go.
All right,
Doc. Listen, I had to explain that because I got a lot of flack. Cooked is good, girl.
And y'all came for me heavy. Y'all trifling for that.
So you youngins or who you oldens or whoever.
Oldens.
You papas.
Cook is cracking.
Cook is cracking.
Cook is cracking.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. So now my next question for you is, I don't know if you've seen this, but Paul said, I'm coming for Paul tonight. Paul said that marriage is for old and poor people. What do you believe? How do you feel about that?
Before we get into this, I wanted to get your take, Wally. What you think marriage is for old and poor people? What's your view on that?
No, because even old people are not most of the times married. So I don't think so that's even the case. Honestly, for them to even say that, it just goes to show you where we are right now in this time and age. Because it's just very wonky. Because even then, it's like, from a standpoint, right? If you look at the idea, right, what they would say like marriage, right? Okay, you know how they say two heads is better than one? Well, pretty much the same way, right? You got two people working with each other. It's more easier than one person just trying to do everything on their own. But
Yeah, because the way he phrased it at first, I was like, damn, I don't know if I agree with that. But you had a good point where it's like where we at as society and stuff. But I do, to a certain degree, where he phrased it as poor. I would say like, I think it's mainly for, I'll say younger people that's selfless and they grow with each other. So you were kind of hitting on that, where I think if y'all build with each other and stuff, then I think it works best in that dynamic. But I could understand if a rich person is just, kind of reluctant to do it because it's like, hey, I'm already built up. This person might be here for the wrong reason. So I could see why like a wealthy person would not want to go down that path.
Yeah, plus with the wealthy person, the thing is with them is, this is the sad thing about them, is like by the time you allow your business to actually really take most of your life, your business is pretty much their girlfriend because that's all they can ever focus on. They really can't focus on anything else. They can't let go. It's like you think you build your empire to what it is, someone else can take care of it, and then you just lay back a little bit, but not the case most times.
Yeah, because like I got married young, me and my wife, and we built with each other. So definitely, man, it was some sacrifices, some hardships, but I think we have a deeper connection because of that process. Where, say, like if I'm where I'm at right now, yeah, man, I would just definitely have probably some trust issues with people, So I definitely probably would have done it at my age now. I'm 46 now, so yeah, I would definitely like look at marriage totally different from when I was younger. Didn't really have too much and built with that person.
Right.
But all right, we get back to the video. I just wanted to get your take on that real quick.
Well,
Hold on. Paul, listen. Paul cooked again. Because he cooked again. He liked cook because he cooking. Studies show that the poor folks who marry. Now, I come from the hood. I come from very humble beginnings, so I'm going off studies. I have no problem with
Long Beach in the house.
right. Yes, but what I'm saying, studies do show that that marriage is more successful, long lasting, less stressful, and happy when two people actually have money that provides resources for a great quality of life. He's correct.
Talk to him.
Marriage,
Talk
when
about it.
folks who don't have financial stability, which provides resources for a great quality of life, which in return makes it to where your stress levels are low and you can actually enjoy each other, the divorce rate is much, much higher. Much, much higher. Much higher. So, I mean, in reality, back in the day, marriage was a privilege, and it was only a privilege for the folks who were wealthy. That's just the truth of the matter. Like folks who were not economically stable didn't have the privilege of being able to be married. And when I look back on it, of course, I think marriage should be available.
Real quick, didn't she kind of undercut his position? Because didn't he say what it was for poor people and old people, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, that's the thing, right? Because I think it's the way she's positioning it from where she's saying it from studies. Because based upon that study, that was, back in the days, right? Like she pretty was angling. Back in the days, marriage was a privilege. But I think the way she's angling is because back in the days, when you married, there was actually the whole wedding, the whole 9 yards. That was a privilege. You had to actually be financially good. Because of course you have the whole 9 yards, but nowadays, like, let's be real. Most people, right? If they're trying to be smarter, they're just gonna be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the courtroom," and they just get that done on all that, and then the money that they would have invested in the wedding, they just invest in other things just to get their life together.
But I think she was trying to agree with Paul, but I think she undercut it a little bit because she was saying like, when she gave the stats, she said when you have like more money, pretty much is going to yield better results because you have less stress.
Right now, but I think we'll see, but we gotta let her finish. But I think right now what she's doing is she's sort of like sending out like a comparison because what she was angling was yesterday's time frame. Now she talks about today. That might be a whole different thing.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, but
I was thrown off by that. That's why I was like, she kind of undercutting his position.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I had to wait for a minute. Like,
okay, I got you. Yeah, let me put it back on because you're probably right.
An option to anyone without discrimination. But if you really look at it, when two people get married who are not ready, we're not even talking about just mental health wise, right, emotional intelligence wise, but economically, they are marrying into a deficit because they are not able to provide each other the full essence of the quality of life that they want in a marriage, even for themselves individually. And I have yet to meet a man, and I say, and I've been in my field 17 years. I have yet to meet a man, no matter how on the lower economic status he was, on the high economic status he was, who did not want to at some point be able to provide for his woman. Even if he couldn't, there was something in that man that said, like, at some point, I would love to be able to provide economically for my woman. And when a man can't, it shifts the dynamic in that marriage. And it does put that man in a deficit in many ways. And oftentimes that man doesn't know how to process those emotions, identify how he feels and say, listen, maybe I am a little disconnected from you. Maybe you do feel that there is some type of barrier between us that I'm unaware of. Okay, but
maybe you're right, Jake.
I'm not able to be at my full.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because she's speaking about it negatively. Like if you don't have like, man, you're in a deficit. Hold on, let me get paused. Let me go back because I just want to hear what the girl said. What Paul's position. Yeah, she don't agree with him and then threw his position under the
Choosing
bus.
them from not a perfect place, but a healthy place,
Mm,
so that I can say I'm not only choosing a husband, but I'm choosing a father
mm.
for my kids before I even, procreate with this man. A lot of folks who do marriage early are choosing codependently a partner who can satisfy their trauma in that space,
Ooh.
and they trauma bond. And after that trauma's healed or that trauma shifts, those conditions are gone. So guess what's also gone? The bond. Because if the trauma changes, which is what's the glue to the bond, then the bond has to change. So
Yeah.
now we say we outgrew each other. No,
Mm.
y'all never were with each other. You were with each other's traumas.
Ooh.
You don't even know this man.
Ooh. Damn.
Wait a minute.
No.
So
Okay, go
Go
ahead.
for it, Paul.
you said sorry.
So, okay, pause real quick.
You're married?
So pretty much what she just angled there is saying, she definitely just undercut his whole philosophy right there. So she really just undercut his whole philosophy. So she basically said, yeah, he could, by not saying you didn't cook shit in that question, in that question at all, because
Yeah, she probably misunderstood what he said and she just jumped on it. But yeah, she definitely undercut it.
All I've heard is it's like you're just uncutting the scenery. It's like, oh, and then y'all only really there because of traumas. Like, yeah, poor. I mean, granted, yeah, if you poor, you're gonna be poorly minded. So I'm guessing what she's trying to angle at this point is saying like, okay, yeah, poor-minded people in this case, right? Poor-minded people, they're only there together because of trauma bonding situations, and after they untrauma bond in that situation and got more clarity, you really just sitting here asking yourself, who did the freak that I just dated? What the freak is that?
Yeah, but I think what she's trying to do is trying to be a little clever because what she's trying to do is justify why she didn't marry younger. So that's why she was like somewhat. What was that?
We haven't aimed at her just yet, but as far as just the question, it's just like she's sort of not really like she's doing a very analyzed answer to the question versus just punching it. But yeah.
No, I'm just saying that because it's a buildup. Because the way she was painting the picture of being younger, she merged so many, I think, different topics into her answer. Where it was like trauma, codependency, you grew apart. So, some of those things is true, but it's just like most of the time people are just younger. You could take care of yourself, so you really don't need, to be with somebody else unless y'all probably have like a kid or something. Then that's when y'all probably like need to, cover some expenses with each other. But the way she positioned it was like, oh, they got trauma and this and this and this. So I think it was just like over the top, where people throw around trauma too much. I think a lot of times people probably just ain't, they get with somebody out of infatuation, lust or something. They don't dig too deep, and then they really don't have too much in common, so they'll break up. But so I don't think it's a ton of trauma, honestly.
I mean, yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's like most of the time, like all the stuff that she was angling out is like how much of the decent regular people out here are ultimately in trauma, and then eventually, quote unquote, trauma bonding with the next person just to be in a relationship. So I don't know. It's just a little bit sketchy overall, but yeah.
Yeah, but when she was talking about the bond, she was like, well, the bond splits up, and that happens. But I mean, we see a lot of people that get married later, and people that have resources, they divorce at a pretty high rate too. It might be a little better, but yeah, we seeing more and more of like wealthy people getting divorced. So that's what I'm saying. It's just, for her to be a psychologist and put that position, it's just like sometimes I think, you gotta put all angles at that. So yeah, I thought it was kind of weird how she was breaking it down. But yeah, let me jump back into this.
And you still want kids?
What's so funny about that?
No, I'm just saying, like, I feel like
what's so funny?
no, I just feel like
why was you laughing?
No. This is not a knock. This is just like I feel like when you get older, like this is the time to enjoy more life. This is not the time to be like you should be looking to travel the world, like see the world, because we on the back nine. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the back nine.
You are, not me. Papa, you, not me.
I'll take that.
I'm still
on the back.
auntie.
Yeah, you auntie. But I just feel like once the 40s hit, it should be like, man, you know what? That's all good because, like, you know, kids take up a lot of time, and kids will redirect the relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, and I just feel like for me, like this is the thing. I fell in love with what I was in love with the situation, how they were before the kid. And the dynamic of the kid, because you don't have no script for this. When the kid come, the whole dynamic of the relationship changed now.
Especially for the man. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially for the man.
Because now you go, and it's funny because I look in public.
Let me ask you real quick. Do you think it's better to have, say, like get married and have kids younger or older? Because that's kind of the
I mean, for me
meat of the
personally,
conversation.
I can't say because I don't got no kids, period, and I'm getting old. So I mean, it really it's all pick and choose, right? Honestly, I think I would probably say slightly more older because at least depending on that road that you take up until that point, it all depends on how serious you are early on in.
What about the 40s though? You think that's too old or?
I mean, honestly, that's really on people. I think, look, if people have the idea of wanting kids, then you already know that kids are going to change the dynamic of a relationship. It's just what it is. So I just think, how are y'all already looking at it? If you're thinking, okay, if people are already talking about, oh yeah, we're going to go out here and travel, do this and that. Well, when a kid comes in play, you're not going to do too much of that at all. So that's going to be shortcut. That's going to be all that, everything's switching up. So unless you already got that out of your system already and travel to places you really wanted to go to, then you already know the moment that kid comes, that's not happening too much. I mean, granted, I'm not saying like, when certain time frames come into play, you can't just up and travel, take your kid with you. I'm not saying that at all. But overall, it's like, that's going to come into play. It's going to come into play. There's nothing you have ever watched in a damn day of your life where any TV show, movies, your whole life changes. Like you having a kid, it shows in every which way, shape, of life. It's always gonna change. There's always a dynamic that's gonna change. It's just what it is. So if you
That's a good point. You would think people would have that understanding, but you'd be surprised where they don't realize like that change that happens. Because I agree with Paul Pierce. Like, I think when you hit your 40s, anybody out here that's having kids in their 40s, I'm like, y'all crazy as hell. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know like things are changing a little bit, but it's like, man, your body changes. Man, you are supposed to be like on that decline. Like, all right, man, you know what? This is where like we start enjoying our life. You're hitting the peak of your like earning potential. Man, it's time to chill. So I couldn't imagine having a kid like at 40. So I think it's definitely more of a struggle. I would say having a kid younger, but like me having my kid younger. I definitely prefer that over like say I would have a kid right now in my 40s. Ain't no way in hell. Like I would want to be in them shoes.
That's the testament of just people and knowing who they are, right? I think you wouldn't want to do that at 40 later on, and some people would know that they would be rather do it later on. Because I don't remember exactly the time of age when I came into like when my parents were. They were like in their 30s. Yeah, they're more likely in their 30s when I came around. So
yeah, I think like say late 20s, like around 28 to about between 32 and 33 would be, I'll say, ideal for most people because you should have your stuff together. But 40s, because you're so used to doing everything by yourself. So like Cheyenne Bryant, I know she's talking about having kids. She's 42, but it's just like, man, you're used to everything being kind of your way, and then now you go through this big adjustment, like you were talking about in life. And I don't know if I would, I know me personally, I wouldn't want to have that adjustment like at this time. And I don't think most people Like if you spent that much time like doing stuff in order like that, and probably being a little picky and stuff, I don't think they're going to be built for that adjustment that's going to come with them kids. And I think that's what Paul's trying to get her to realize, like, man, yeah, you crazy. But I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, it definitely goes into play. So,
all right, let me get back to this.
Look, relationships, like how a lot of famous like actors or actresses, like they divorce within the first few years of having kids.
Why, right? Paul, you cook again, I'm about to put your ass back on the grill. What you cooking? Because
I know what I'm talking about.
Divorce happens within the first year
of kids
of birth.
Yeah.
Within the first year.
Yeah.
That's when divorce happens. And if the folks are not married, that's when separation or breakup happens within the first year of that child.
But I'll tell you why too.
Go for it, yeah.
Like, because like you fall in love, you meet a girl or you meet a guy, you fall in love with like, damn, I love that, how we are right now. We travel, it's sex every day, and it's glazing in your eyes, and
God damn it. Paul Pierce, just say that you just a selfish human being, and that's just all there is to it. Like, what the world? I don't hear this.
Shout out to Paul. They didn't catch it. Paul was on some freak shit.
Pregnancy comes. Those things stop.
Stay there. The pregnancy comes. What does that mean for the man's position in that relationship? Explain that to us.
Well,
as a man.
As a man, you fell in love with what made you fell in love with. Like, we going here, we going there. It's spontaneous.
The spontaneity of doing things, the get up and go. My go-to, my road dog.
My man, let's go. Like, wake up, go, boom, do this. And then all that's just stops. And then it's just like, damn, we ain't even doing the same stuff. But like, it changes the whole dynamic. And it's just like, damn, now you get so deep into pregnancy, now the sex stops. And that stops for a minute. Like a minute. And that's what and that the sex ain't what made you fall in love. It's just the whole friendship, all of this. And like, you got to go through it. But
the sex is a part of the expression of love.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real, because when we're talking about casual.
See, that's why I was saying earlier, I was like, man, I think most people get in relationships out of attraction and infatuation. And like, I like what you were saying earlier, Wally, where it's just like, people should understand what comes with a kid, but from the way that they kind of explained it, this is a oops baby they talked about. Because it's like that dynamic definitely would change. I think if you're kind of like you said, have a clear head, you're like, look, I want to be with this person, man. We talked about family and all that. It's like, man, you kind of go into that situation, understand like the sacrifice element that you're going to have to do both sides. And I think when people don't have those conversations and it just happens, that I can see why what he's talking about. It's like, man, that change happened. We're used to kicking it, having fun. But it's like when adult and the responsibility shit comes, it would throw off a lot of stuff if you weren't going into their understanding like, hey, I want to have a family with this person versus just kind of kicking it and smashing,
Right, because, everyone always talks about this, right? It's like, oh, when they had all the time to themselves, that we were on dates, we were constantly going out, we were doing all these things, we were doing all so much fun stuff. But when the kid came, we had to take so much care of it. We had to be so attentive to it. Every which way of you hear the story. I'm like, that's the game. What you thought this was?
Nah, that's why I was kind of saying, man, I do think it's sometimes it's better to have kids when you're I'll say broke or you're younger and you're building up, because you're not kicking it like that. So you think about it like a Paul Pierce, he got the paper early, at a crazy amount, being an NBA player. So it's just like, he was hanging out, probably going to top of the line restaurants, him and a chick. So when they had that kid, it was probably like a hell of an adjustment. But if you're like he kind of said, poor and building up with that person, that's not your norm. You're not going out and hanging out too much. Everything's on a budget pretty much. So your expectations probably ain't as high as somebody that, had the money like that at a young age, where it's just like, man, okay, well, we got to cut back on going out. We ain't really go out that goddamn much. We were struggling like a mug. So I do think like it is probably a little better to, start off younger and go through a little bit of struggle with each other. let me. I'm gonna jump to a whole new section. So let me.
That people are going through in their 20s and 30s when they're married young.
True.
You have kids, right?
Yes.
And
Hold on. This is the part where she starts kind of going in on Paul. She's breaking down his dynamic.
So he has kids, but he's over here talking about, man, kids change everything. So you just bad mouthing the kids you already have. Like, damn, bro.
Yeah, because he's gonna break down. He has two kids from two different women, so he probably had to go through some hell. So that's probably why he like, ain't no way in hell I want to go through that at my age and stuff. So she gets on Paul. She gives him some smoke, but we're gonna jump after this plays out. Paul kind of get his lick back. So the tables turn a little bit.
yeah, can I ask how many?
You have 4 kids.
4 kids. Okay, by one woman, just
2.
2. Okay, so you're not with them. I'm guessing. Okay, so I'm not saying had you did it now, you would still be with them, but I know for sure had you did it now, you would have done it differently, or you would have figured out how to do it in a way where you can actually have a family with whoever you're doing it with. That comes with wisdom at the age of your age 47. But at 23 or 30, whether you were thinking family or not, more than likely not.
No, I was thinking family when I had.
Okay.
I was 30 when I started.
Did you get married to either one of them?
Yeah. I did.
You were thinking family, but
No, the first.
The first, but not the second.
Oh,
So,
I love me talking
At
about.
47, you don't meet too many men who are procreating with or before marriage. Usually they're in the mindset you just said, I'm 47, I want to travel the world, right? I'm more responsible now because of my irresponsibilities, because experience teaches, words don't. So through your experiences, you learn what to do and what not to do. So men and women become better with age because of their experience. Experience gives you wisdom. Words do not, because they don't teach. So for me as a woman of age, I always want to make sure that I was having my kids in equity, not a deficit, because of my own inability to make good decisions on behalf of them. So at 23 or 30 years old, or maybe even 35, my decision making may have chose a situation that puts my kids in a deficit. Now, your children are blessings, no matter how you look at it, they just are. But they were still born in a deficit because they didn't get the experience of a full household and a full present father. Even if you were on the road playing ball, that's different, knowing that daddy's out there getting it for our household than it is to say he has kids with another woman. So that could possibly why he can't be here with us in this time or can't be present all the time. Doesn't mean that the kids are doomed. We're just talking about the deficit of something as small as a decision causes. And as we choose, but as we become better, we date better, we choose better, we marry better, and guess what we do? We parent better. And if people take their time, then they can really avoid doing time.
Now, what do you say to the
I agree what she's talking about right there. Because I mean, I do think, man, say like if I would have had, my situation with my wife when we split up, I would have never created a whole new family because of those dynamics. I was always cautious like that. But I don't think you got to be super late in age to have wisdom. Because I meet so many young people, even like yourself, Wally, you're real wise, man, that, talking to people, it's just like, man, wisdom don't have to be so late in life. And that's why I say it, like, I think she's maybe because she didn't get these lessons till later. That's why they're pushing so hard for like, having kids later in life. But I think wisdom could come, like, if you're just open, you understand dynamics, so you observe, because like I said, I understood a lot of these dynamics. I was like, I'm not about to have like multiple baby moms. If I don't get it right the first time, I'm just done. And I'll focus on, that kid and that family. I'm not going to build all these different households. So I understood that at like 23. I was like, that shit ain't going to happen for me. So, yeah.
But for me though, right? So, yeah, because I would initially understood, like, I initially understand what she's saying. But at the same time, right, just from what she's saying, I'm taking that as far as a person that didn't have the wisdom from anybody else. Because again, like you said, right, you don't have to just be older to have wisdom. You could be younger and have wisdom. But understanding where does that wisdom come from? Because even a younger person can have wisdom if you learn from other people's experiences, right?
Yeah.
So understanding and listening to those experiences or seeing those experiences can teach you right then and there what to avoid in the long terms. So again, this also goes back to the person. Are they even taking in the information that's being given to them by somebody else that went through those things, that had that information and is willing to tell you, hey, be mindful to consider these things as you get older, because this, and this could happen. Not saying it will, but it could, right? You even said it yourself when we talked before, right? When you were younger, you saw all these problems around your family amongst certain family members, and you was like, "Oh hell no, I ain't going through this shit."
Oh yeah, facts.
You got too much going on. So you already told yourself, "Hey, look, if I can't lock it down with one, that's it. You know, you're doing your thing." So you know, at the end of the day, I think it's really about people in their state of mind where they are at that time. It's like, are you even there to even know what's going on in front of you?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, because but she's spot on, because like a lot of time I don't think people think about it from the prism of the kids, where it's like, you know, say like the dad creates a whole nother family. Because I had to tell a couple dudes like this. I'm like, man, look, y'all don't need to go create a whole nother family, because your kid's gonna look at it like, damn, dad's in a whole nother household. Why ain't he over here with me and stuff? And I'm like, man, y'all do put the kids at a deficit and stuff like that. So I do see what she's saying, but she keeps pushing for age, you know, the whole like later in life. And it's just like, man, I just think if you're wise, like you say. I just think a lot of people are self-centered, and I think a lot of people, even in older age, are self-centered too.
But yeah, that's why I sort of call it out when I'm hearing Paul Pierce is like, yeah, like, just like, dude, just say that you're self-centered, because you already made it. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're able to make it, just admit it, right? Because like you have your perception how you're trying to live your life. It is what it is. But yeah, but that's my thing, is like, that's the thing. But most of us already know we're coming in here in most cases or not in a deficit, because let's be honest, none of us kids are really ever thinking about marriage at a younger age. We're over here like, man, we just trying to live life, hang with the boys, or, you know, on the flip side, if you're a female, hang with the girls. No one ain't thinking that. So it's like, you're never going to think ahead of the game 10 times ahead, let alone to even have financial security 10 times ahead, to the point to even have family. So again, it's like everyone's going to reach their position eventually, but it's like, it may be at that sweet spot of the 30, like upper 20s, early 30s, or even beyond. It all really depends on people. So,
but I think that's why I said she's kind of pushing the agenda, because she has a lot of intellect, so you can hear it. But it's just like, you mean to tell me till like age 40 something with the intellect, like, you waited that long, or you finally got wisdom at that age? So like you said, I think a lot of people, man, they just don't want to say, hey man, I was out here just partying, kicking it. I probably stayed there a little too long. I was a little selfish, you know. Hey, it was all about me.
Mm-hmm. No, but
yeah, so no, I think
she was sort of calling it.
Yeah. So I don't understand. I mean, I understand why people don't want to say that, but really that's what they're trying to avoid saying with all the wordplay.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just the thing, right? It's like people can just be honest and that's it. Just be honest.
Yeah.
Because if they just be, it's like, again, I don't think so. I think a lot of people just have that issue. It's like, it's just simple to just be honest and call it a day, and that's it.
But I do give people credit, even though they might have been selfish and, like I said, wanted to date around and kick it. But if they don't have kids, I do give them some credit, like Dr. Cheyenne, Bryant, and people that's like smart enough to be like, man, I don't want to create all these crazy dynamics, just having kids randomly and stuff. So let me protect myself. So I do give them some kudos for that. Mm-hmm. But let me get back to this. She on Paul Pierce's neck right now.
Women that feel like, okay, I'm on this time clock, because I know a lot of people, including some of my own family members, that have gotten pregnant and they were like, you know what, girl, I'm 30 something. I'm just going to have it. Like, even if they're married, they're not, I don't feel that it's like you're so happy or anything, but you're like, hey, I'm this age. I'm just going to have this child now because it's what I should be doing. Or you feel like you're on this biological time clock where you're like, okay, oh my God, I'm nervous. I'm getting of age to where I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Am I going to be able to have children? You know? And I feel like women have that pressure. And another thing is, I feel like women have the pressure of, you know, a lot of the times, even for me, when I've been podcasting or I've been out in the world, it's like, why are you single then? As if it's like, you're not shit because you're single. It devalues you. Like, why are you single? Well, maybe I'm single because I know myself, my standards, and what I actually want. So I'm not settling for anything, because a lot of people I know are doing just that. Yeah. But what do you say to women who feel that pressure, you know, because you're very confident, 42, you're like, I can have kids, I'm going to get married. And I love that energy. Yeah. And I believe it. And I love that energy. But I feel like so many women are in fear, and they operate out of this fear. And if you can say anything to help them, like that would be amazing.
Operating out of lack.
Before I let her play out, do you think what's her name was saying was some bullshit as far as like the settling and not being on a timeline, women having fear, I guess?
I mean, look, as far as being in the Western side of the hemisphere, you know, people idolize. I mean, well, not idolize, but people do convey the same messages as far as, you know, being in that fear, because of course, you know, you're that time clock, you're at that certain age and everything else, and you're pretty much like years go by, you know, those eggs are gonna, you know, they're pretty much gonna be done. But the thing is, you know, so interesting, if people actually did the studies, right, if you actually look on the side of like the eastern side of the world, there's a lot of women actually are able to even be able to be pregnant within their 40s, maybe even their 50s, give or take, right? So what that tells you? That tells you that's a health issue going on here and what you're putting in your body. So, I mean, it's really a lot of things. There's a lot of things that's contributed to that one way or the other. But overall, it's just, hey, I mean, let's be honest here. I think the idea of this quote unquote fear, it's a little bit funny, because like you saying it's fear. I mean, people could put out and say, it's fear because like you're behind the clock, but it's like you understandably know your life is what it is. But then it's like, okay, you're fearing of missing out or whatever the fear may be. But then at the same time, you know, you're not in the position you want to be overall. So what is wrong with understanding, just finding the right pocket that just works? Like, and that's my thing, is like, I don't know what people are so make relationships so hard. It's like you're trying to you're coming together to work together to build, to be able to sustain what you got. Like, what's wrong with that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think what she was saying about the other females having fear. I mean, I think fear sometimes is a good thing, man. Like you said, because I think it's that internal thing, man, that lets you know like things are out of order. Because where I was saying, like, I think it was kind of bullshit what she was saying. Because I think some people, man, they think they got all the time in the world, and it's just like, man, shit just don't work out like that. It's like, man, there's not gonna be a pool of guys just waiting for you to like make a decision. Everybody's like moving on. Good dudes are lining up with good females and shit. So all this going on, life is passing you by. So I think sometimes, like, man, when they sit in that place of complacency, it's just like, man, them people that have fear, they're having the right things. Because, you know, a lot of times females be like, man, I was engaged 2 times. I done had these relationships, and you get knocked down. Let's not lie to ourselves. So it's just like, man, if you're smart, you're like, man, damn, I should have somebody, because I have been with guys that I actually like. So why am I not having long-term relationships and shit? Because nobody truly wants to be out there that long. You know what I'm saying, and stuff. So I think when females are having that fear, that's when they're like kind of processing like what's going wrong and stuff. So the fact that sometimes people don't have that, it's like, hey, man, you might need to do some internal work. Your preferences is probably too high. Like I said, you're too picky. You know, you're maneuvering the wrong way. You're attracted to the wrong people. So when people be like, man, I don't have no fear and I'm not going to settle. It's like, okay, they still, you know, delusional about what's going on out here. Because I like what you were saying. It's like, man, even because I was talking to my wife about this. She's in the healthcare, and she was like, man, when people be having them kids like late in life, that's risky. And, you know, you see how the kids are coming out with the ADD. There's a linkage to some of that. So she was just breaking it down to me, because like I said, I don't know the stats like that, but You know,
Yeah.
you talk to healthcare people, they're like, you know, you could still get pregnant, but there is a lot of risk that comes with that.
Yeah, because
So-
of the stress of all that and everything else.
Yeah.
I'm along with it. Yeah.
But all right, let me.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
say, where's your faith at? Faith is an action word,
Mm,
right? And so for me, I always use Abraham and Sarah in the Bible.
mm.
God doesn't, he keeps his promises. He says no request returns void.
Ooh.
Okay. And so Sarah and Abraham made a request for a child.
Mm.
They were up in their 80s. And Sarah got impatient. And she told Abraham, get the maid pregnant.
Hold on. You said it was in their 80s? Both of them?
Yeah.
It's in the Bible. Look
Yeah,
it up.
Bible story.
No,
I know
So
that's
Sarah,
fair.
but this is why faith is an action word. Sarah told Abraham, listen,
Well, it's not an action word.
it ain't
It's a
gonna happen.
noun.
Get the maid pregnant.
It
got the
literally
maid
is
pregnant.
a noun.
As soon as he got the maid pregnant,
She was
Sarah
Sarah's
ended up
pregnant. Yeah.
So Sarah told Abraham, guess what? I'm pregnant now, bruh. Maid, she gotta go. So Abraham, being the good husband that he was, because remember, he's been hearkening on to her voice the whole time. He didn't cheat. She gave him permission to do this. He tells the maid she gotta go. God talks to the maid in the desert and says, listen, you don't know who you're pregnant with. Go back. The maid's like, I can't go back. Go back. She comes back. Sarah has her baby. Guess what's in that household? Nothing but conflict. Nothing but
Mhm.
conflict. What is my point? My point is I'm not Sarah.
Mm.
I understand that my request ain't returned void.
Ooh.
And I understand, like the Bible says, be anxious for nothing and make your request be known to God. I'm not anxious about when a
Mm.
child or husband is coming. I don't want anything that's not mine. And I say this, Paul, with no pun intended. When we take things that aren't ours, it comes with the expiration date, just like those two beautiful mothers of your kids, expiration date. But you still have the kids you have to father. I don't want that situation. So I would rather wait for God to deliver what's mine on his time when I am cooked and not still raw meat and not ready. And if that means I got to wait till 43 or 44 or call off another wedding, I am okay
She
with
said
that.
call off
My
another wedding?
obedience is to God, not people.
Come on.
I don't live in dogma. And so if I run around here like Sarah, I will mess up and end up with a man who already got the maid pregnant, which means I don't get an opportunity to have my own family, my own husband. I will have to share him. Why?
Mm.
Because it will be at the expense of my disobedience.
Damn.
It happened really quick with Moses. He freed the Israelites from Egypt. God said, I'll take you to the promised land. But guess what? God kept his promise because he took him to the promised land. When Moses got to the promised land, God said, okay, talk to the rock and I'll have water come out. Talk to the rock.
Mhm.
Well, Moses had a temper tantrum, kind of like Sarah, got upset, took his rod and hit the rock twice. Hold on. God still kept his promise because although he told him to talk, not hit, water came out that rock. He took Moses to the promised land.
Mhm.
But guess what? Moses and everyone who followed him didn't get in. You know why? Because he was disobedient.
Yeah.
So God will always keep his promise and he'll bring you right there. And the moment that you choose not to be obedient after you done went across the Red Sea, you done been in the wilderness for 40 years like Moses and the Israelites. You get to finally where you want to be, Dr. Bryant, at 42, 43. And you mean to tell me when God told you to speak to the rock, i.e. take your time, that you're going to hit the rock just because some outside chatter told you that you 42 and you should be married
Come
already
on.
because you're so successful? Now I'm going to talk to the rock all day long.
Mm,
I'm
she's
going to get my
spitting.
water and my promised land. And that's exactly what we're going
And
to
the
do.
Lord said,
Amen. Amen. And guess what I'm going to do? What God says. I'm going to have the witnesses witness me do all of it.
Come on.
And so I could be a testimony and continue
Come
to be
on.
a vessel for his word
Speak
to
that.
show that we ain't got to be impatient.
Come
but
on.
We do have to be obedient. And
Come
so
on.
faith is an action word. If you ask for it, God will do it. And it's not on your time, it's on his. So once you ask for it, let God give you experience
Oof.
that gives you wisdom, that equips you for what you need to be with who and where you need to be. Because you got too many people that are not only doing time, but their kids are too, and the mothers are too, because neither one of them took their time to wait for the right time for the meat, like Paul said, not to be toxic, but to be cooked.
Come on now.
Oh Lord.
Hey, you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I ain't even mad at her for saying it. Because at the end of the damn day, this is why I say and say, y'all dudes need to stop wasting time on these chicks when you say that they're all this and everything else. Live your life and go do you. If God got your back and God got your favorite, hey, God could bring you to what you could bring. Just go do you. Because at the end of the damn day, what's the point of going out here stressing yourself on a bunch of possible airheads you might talk to?
Now, I agree with you, man. That's why I always talk about avoidance.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, honestly, you just can't be afraid, bro. It's like at this point, for me personally, I say it like this. Just like how she just said about Moses. Notice, Moses had a relationship and he had kids, but he never was involved in it that much to the degree that his kids don't even know who he is. And he had to do all that quote unquote work, aka his purpose, through and through. There are just some things in life you just gotta realize. In this life, you gotta come in here, you gotta do what you have to do, but you're more likely not gonna walk out being married and having kids. It's just gonna be you. Live with that.
Yeah, the reason, man, I got pushed because what she's talking about, like not having all these inner family dynamics, I agree with that because that is messy and stuff like that. But man, there's 2 points, man. When she started bringing in God, man, I think a lot of people, man, don't understand. If you're maneuvering out of order, aka a lot of us being promiscuous, we're not, we're having like random sex and stuff. It's like, man, you really shouldn't be asking for shit. Because when you look at the stories of Moses and them, even though they was slipped up in certain parts, they was walking pretty much in order with God and stuff. So I think sometimes with people, man, they quote stuff. It's like, man, you're not even really maneuvering like that to be putting in requests. Because think about it. It's like, man, if you're sitting out there, you're doing everything. You're picky. You're choosing people on materialistic things, all the preferences where, you're really not looking at character and all the good stuff that you need to align with. It's like, man, you're not even in order to, he's going to just look at that request and shoot it down. So, I think a lot of people, man, they cope with stuff without understanding what they're saying, especially when it comes to religion. So if I'm operating out of order, I'm just going to use myself. Say I'm out here like maneuvering bad. You think he's going to reward me with like a good wife and I'm not following his word? So that's where I'm like, man, she's, they're like, oh, she's cooking. It's like, no, she ain't. Like, she ain't in line with the word, by how she's living. So if I was like maneuvering like that, I'm not gonna. I would never turn around and ask. I would make sure I'm following first before I make a request like that. And that's why I think a lot of times that's why people get turned off by the church, because people will preach to you all day, but they're not even in line with what they're preaching about. So yeah, that's where I think she was off on that.
Well, yeah, no, because that's one thing I will say that as well. Yeah, I would agree with you on that because personally, the thing is about it is, and this is the funny part about it that I keep on laughing about is like, all right, you want to bring religion, and I say this every sometimes it's always that funny tale of religion that always goes down to it because okay, are you the mirror of the woman that God wants you to be for a man?
Ooh, yeah.
That's number one. And then two, what are the mirrorments of man that God wants you to be under? So when so guess what? When they talk about in the Bible, what is the quote unquote clear, concise, visual premise of a woman? They said it's Proverbs 31. That the whole Proverbs 31. That is the whole clear visual of a woman. Okay. So when you go look up the multiple different variations of man and what is the man you're supposed to marry, go run that. Because I guarantee you, when you go look up both of them sides and you look at both of them notes, I don't want to hear no one say shit.
No, that's facts. Because you're supposed to have yourself in order. Make sure you're walking in a light before you start making requests. Because you ain't walking like that. You guess what? That request is gonna get voided. And she kind of says like she out here a little bit messing with young dudes. So that's why I'm saying it's like, man, if you operate like that, like, and you thinking like he's gonna send you, like, there's women out here that's actually walking the right way. So because I had to tell somebody this one time because they were like, oh, God's gonna send me this person and they're gonna be great. And I'm like, so you think God's gonna skip over all the like women that's doing the right thing and stuff and just reward you? Like, and I think sometimes people are just delusional like that. And that like I said, including myself, if I'm walking out of order, man, I don't, because somebody was like, hey man, I pray for all this stuff. I was like, man, I try not to do that. I just pray, man, I'm breathing each day, but I don't pray for specific things because it's like, if I'm not walking in that light, man. I shouldn't be putting out a request. I need to be like asking for knowledge and wisdom to get through and get myself together. You know, that's what you put request in for, not stuff like that when you're all the way out of order. So I think people, man, they just so full of shit when they be quoting verses and stuff. It's because it sounded good, like what she was saying. So everybody clapping and stuff. I would have been in my mind like, hey, you think God gonna reward that?
Oh yeah, but that's my thing, right? That's my thing. It's like the situation fits the bill, but that's the issue. And this is what I'm saying. Like, if you ride that wave, it's like, okay, congratulations, you rode that wave. But if someone were to come in here and be like what I just said, so are you a Proverbs 31 woman? Do you meet the criteria? You don't. And if you don't, then what you talking?
And this ain't a man, and this ain't just a woman thing, because there's a lot of guys that operate out of order. But it's like people stay praying. They stay praying, but to do the hard stuff that God wants us to do, we don't want to do none of the struggle, the sacrifice, but they stay praying. Hey, one more thing though, the other piece that she was saying, as far as like, you know, she's gonna kind of get everything she wants, like a guy with no kids because she don't want to share. Do you think that's a little delusional at the age 42 that she's going to get somebody that, you know, around that age that don't have no kid? And
Well, here's my thing, right? I get the sentiments that she's purveying, right? Because I know in a different clip I've seen out there in the internet that she would talk about how you being with another man that has kids, or however the flip version of the dynamics, a woman being with a kid, or a man being with a woman with kids, that's pretty much acting in a form of polygamy. And she don't want to be in the form of polygamy. So I can get that, right? That just, I think in most cases they're not. I do believe there's a decent amount of guys that don't have kids in this world. Because let's be honest,
in their 40s,
I do believe most people don't have kids. Hey, I know some that don't got kids. I know some people that don't got kids. So my thing is, it's like, hey, look, there are some, especially if neither because of certain conditions. A is because they were lucky enough to dodge the bullet when it comes to messing around out here. B, they realized they fucked up in the early times of their livelihood and trying to get it together. So they was actually a little bit more focused now to getting their life together, so then they can actually do things. So, you know, and then whatever else they're out there. But honestly, I am okay with her thought process on that. And especially if she quote unquote does the work, then God will supply.
Yeah, because I agree. Even her stance on like I said, the mixing of the families, the polygyny, I wouldn't go down that path either. So I definitely understand that. But if I had that stance, I damn sure wouldn't be waiting to no damn 40s to like, you know, try to find a female. I would have put a little more haste and fear, like they would talk about, because I'd be like, okay, if I don't want to ever get with a chick that had kids and stuff, like, man, I need to be getting her before, like, I got to lock it down by like age 31, because I say after 33, most people, men and women, there's a majority of the people have kids. And then when you start, because I see what you're saying, it's like, man, there is probably a good sized population of people that don't. But then when you add in like the preferences, you know, she's probably, since she's successful, they got to be successful. They got to be attractive. You know, they got to have all this stuff. Man, you looking at it like a drop. And then, then at that point, that person got to like you back. You know, that's the other side.
But that's the funny part about it, right? People always got to put their own little fantasy lands involved in the list. Like that's not part of the list. Like what you're saying, right? You just quote Bible, keep quoting Bible, and stay on top of that, because there is nowhere involved in the script of the list of man that he had to be drop dead gorgeous. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah, I mean, not saying that God was going to give you an ugly man, but either which way, it's not a part of the list. God never said he's going to give you a guy that's fully rich. He may be rich in the spirit, but he ain't rich as far as mankind's money. So,
but that's what I'm saying. Look what she was pitching in the beginning, as far as like wisdom and being more knowledgeable when you're older. So it's just like, man, this is ignorant as fuck to think like you're gonna you're gonna get all this stuff at age 42. Like you're gonna find this like rare guy that has no kids. He's got all his stuff together. He's meeting all these preferences, and he just wants you. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, are you truly that wise if you're asking for this type of shit? Like, you should have known this. Like, because like I said, I know this at like 23. I'm like, hey, if you don't want to deal with nobody's kids and stuff, you better lock some stuff down early and don't overthink it and don't overplay these situations. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, the hypocrisy of this is just wild, boy. There's people that truly think this stuff could happen. Like I'm gonna pray it there, even though I'm not following nothing else in the Bible. But I'm gonna get everything I want. That shit funny. But hold on, let's jump back into it because I'm gonna.
Now, let me ask you this: are you okay with a man who already has children? No. Okay, why
Deal
not?
breaker. Deal breaker.
Deal breaker for you? Why
Because
not?
I want my own family. I
And
want
you
my own
feel like
family.
you cannot have that with a man who already has children.
Well, I think she could say it in this video.
That
then.
is a form of
Oh,
polyamory.
okay, yeah.
Oh, yep. She actually does say
Really?
it right here.
Explain that,
Polyamory.
please.
Polyamory doesn't have to do with us all living in a household together and we're all doing the do. Polyamory is outside relationships that I'm okay with. So if I'm in a relationship with Paul, I have to be okay with him having a relationship with the mothers of his children.
Yeah.
I would hope he does, you know?
Yeah.
Right? So although he's not sleeping with them, or we would want to think he's not, let's just
Right.
take him as being a good man. He's just co-parenting and doing it the right way. Well, when Christmas or holidays come around, or a birthday party or a wedding or graduation, Paul has every right to spend time with his kids. And if the mother is there, I mean, they procreated together. It's not a crime for her to be in the same room as him. That's what co-parenting is, healthy co-parenting is.
Right.
If I agree to that, I am now, or I should be attempting to be healthy with these women, right? If I'm going to love him, I love Paul's kids. So now I'm in a polyamory relationship that I'm agreeing to be in, because although you're not sleeping with this woman, we all are a family, whether you want to think of it that way or not. Because if I love this man,
Part-time.
part-time, full-time.
Because like
Polyamory
it's
could be
not-
part-time, full-time. We can
Yeah.
polyamory from 2 to 5 p.m. It don't matter what the
Yeah.
time frame is. It is what it is. So I am not
Wow.
willing to agree to be in a polyamorous relationship because I am a faithful woman.
Damn.
So I'm not going to have a man outside of him to equal out the playing field, because technically I'm at a loss. You get to have 2 other families and I get to have you. And what if I don't want to share you on Christmas? I
Or
don't have
any
any
day.
kids.
Any
What if
day.
I don't want to share
Yeah.
you on your child's birthday? And I'm not saying that's okay. I'm speaking reality. See, people don't want to speak reality. A lot of I've yet to hear a woman who was with a man, even if she has a kid outside of him. Let's say they both have kids outside of each other, who have not said, if it was just us and our kids, it would be much easier.
Absolutely.
And that's even without having baby mama, baby daddy drama. We're talking about the emotion that comes with it. So if I don't want to share you on Monday, January 3rd, because I'm just in my space where I want you, but Lil Paul has a birthday party and he needs his father,
yeah.
and I want to support you. So I love y'all. I take you as a package deal, but I don't have any kids. So guess what? You get me 365 days of the year, unless I'm on my speaking tour, or I'm in session healing a client, or I'm here on y'all podcast, and you can even come here with me. You still don't got to share me. So what am I saying is, it is an unfair bargain that too many women and men do, because men date women with kids too. And that man may not have kids, and he's also signing up for that. And so as much as people may not want to say it, it definitely creates a wedge between those two people, because this man has already done the most deepest,
intimate
thing you can ever do with another human, which is what? Procreate. See, I can marry you all day long, and you can go do that with anyone else. Once I create a child with you, that is your DNA and my DNA. Where else can you mix us to that depth or that level? Where else can you cleave and woove us into a quilt together? We can't even do that in marriage.
Damn, that's deep.
All right.
So I do agree with everything she said. So that's where, because I'm on that same thing. I never wanted to be in that dynamic. But that's why I'm saying it's just crazy that she would have that tough stance. Because I got that tough stance too. But that's why I was like, man, I can't be out here too long and still kicking it. Because after a certain age, it's like the likelihood of finding somebody without a kid is damn near non-existent. So that's where I'm saying, like, for her to know all these dynamics, especially as a psychologist, that means she's looking at the data and all that, and this stuff didn't register in her head. I'm like, whew. That's a crazy stance.
Yeah.
But all right, let me jump to this next section. Then we're gonna get to the part where Paul kind of turns the tables on her.
Age.
Yeah. She
Their
wanted to
options
put
can
up with
become
more.
can become slim. But I can say this: it's usually the man who gets up in age, and he realizes that his options have become slim. So now he wants to marry after he's already created broken homes, broken houses, baby
Ooh.
mamas, have multiple kids.
Ooh.
Hold on. And he don't got his contract no more. So the money looking a little funny.
She
So
throwing
he got to make sure that he cashes out while he can and get him the closest thing to what he considers a modern day baddie, who is nowhere in comparison to the old school baddies he used to be able to get when he was in his prime. Now, for women who are educated, women who are still beautiful, women who are still keeping themselves
That's
up
a good one.
physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, they just get better with time. And they become a demand, not just only for older men, but for the younger men. And so the women who keep themselves up in that capacity actually become optioned, actually end up having more of abundance of options than they did when they were young. And there are also the women that the men who are their age, like my age, no, they can't obtain, let alone sustain. And so they will stay in their lane. They will stay in their lane because they understand, hold on, she was the woman I wanted when I was younger and couldn't obtain. I damn sure can't do it now that she has become cooked versus still meat that's marinated in the freezer. And that's the truth of it. And if women understood their value, right, as long as they just upkeep their value,
Yes.
right, which is internal and external, then they would stop opting out early on. They would realize, no, my options start to build and expand as
Yeah.
I build and expand.
I agree.
And I think men as well. I feel like if men understood their value, then they would not be raw dogging. They would not be sharing their semen with just any women. They understood their value.
Come on.
Those are things that they would double think and triple think.
Yeah.
So, and another thing, I said, I was talking to a friend earlier and I said,
Hold on. So do you think she was pretty much saying like women get more options as they get older versus men don't have as much options when they get older? Do you think she's right about that dynamic?
I mean, I don't think so. Anyone wins or loses by getting older. Options. I think it's really like, look, if you took care of your stuff and you still look what you still look, a lot of people still like, they'll look at certain women, they'll be like, damn, she's this old and she still looks this good. Like, god damn. But you know what? If they had a chance to crack at it, they would definitely go out there and go smash. So it's just very optional. I don't think so. Anyone really losing an advantage if they get older, as far as men and women, as far as thought process. Now, again, though, here's the thing, though. If you're a man and you're older, but you played your cards right in life, you're more likely entitled to actually get married and have more options with women, because what is the main thing about most women? They want to be taken care of. That is just one thing for sure. So it's a little more easy for men that way, just because if you have your shit together. Whereas for women, it's not the same in a sense, right? I think women still want guy to still be like head lead and everything else. So like even when you have options, I mean, are those options leading to success, or are those options just leading to fun time?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, like, because let's be honest, a lot of these women out here are having fun with these young guys, but what's that really leading to? Because it looks like y'all just having fun out there, really.
Yeah, I think that's where she tried to like blur the lines a little bit. So I think people like saying options, but in all reality, like you said, it's just people getting piped down. Because, you know, typically, man, when you look at the data, people, I think men and women both stay within a range of like 3 years dating. So this whole like, I think phenom that everybody's talking about, it really don't exist with these big age gaps. I know we see them, and we kind of respond to them or cover them, but it typically don't happen that much. But like you said, if one side would have more options with younger people or getting more, I would say it was men, because like you said, it's a resource thing at that point, where guys typically ain't going after people for resources. I never met like a group of young guys like, man, I got to get with these older women, man, so they pay for my my bills, and I'm looking for a provider. So guys typically ain't gonna be talking like that. So yeah, I think she was off base a little bit. Like you said, if you take care of yourself, you look good, man, you're gonna find suitors, but they're not gonna lock you down, So that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, because I think of it from what's that actor's name? Because he right now because usually he always date girls that are like in their like 20 something, but like once they reach like a certain I think like 25.
Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, like Leonardo is a prime example. He's older, but guess what? He's still in his youth, and he's still bagging these young chicks. And guess what? At the end of the day, it's like once they get 25, it's like, okay, you gotta go. Move on. He's the most effortless person that shows. Men still have.
Yeah, he rotate him out.
You good.
But no, and it's not like them young girls like them dudes a lot. But like I said, I think when it comes to resources, that's where guys will fare out better, like you said, when you build up. Because yeah, men typically they ain't looking for no resources. They will smash though. So yeah, I think she overplayed it a little bit. Because man, I think men and women, when you age, man, you're gonna lose some attraction. I don't care who you are. You definitely keep yourself better. But I mean, that's why people start referring to people, they'll say like, man, that person looks good for like an old person. So that's letting you know when people make statements like that, like, man, your old ass is losing some attraction. So yeah, I think people just got faces sometimes. But that's what I'm saying. She keeps on sliding them young guys in there. And also it's just like if, older women have more options, we're seeing like Vivica Fox, Tracy Ross in them. They're struggling like a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's dead.
But yeah, they definitely getting that young dick though. But there ain't no longevity because they ain't never marrying nobody. So that's what I'm saying. So that's where they're full of shit. They'll talk that good game all day. Like all the young guys are into it. It's like, yeah, they piping you down, but we don't see no marriages. But yeah, let me jump back into this.
The young guy that I was dating for 5 years off and on. I said he had no kids. He was young, very successful, in his field. I said, and what I loved most about him was he showed his responsibility, because in our intimate settings, I never, ever one time had to say, can you put a rubber on? Can you put on a contraceptive? I never had to say that, because in his mind, he didn't want to procreate before marriage. He didn't want to be raw dogging. He didn't want to, even though we might have had 4 or 5 years together and he was in love with me, he was being responsible. And that was a strong act of self-love. Because what he was saying is that, wait, it's not just your value, Shy, and you want me to cover up, not just because babies, but obviously STDs, but I know my value as a man. So you ain't got to ask me to cover up because I'm not going in nothing raw. That is a man who loves himself. There's no man who loves himself and will allow himself to be at the highest risk of STDs when we have HIV and other diseases that are not curable, that are at an all-time high and always have been. That is a self-love deficit. And we have that a lot in our community. That is a problem. And I'm not going to coddle bad decisions when it comes to things that dissipate and marginalize our community even more than it already is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I ain't trying to catch nothing, but that dude was like, I ain't trying to get an old ass pregnant. But you see, she was like, yeah, the young guy, they should have asked her, like, how old? I wish they would have got the age. But that's what I'm saying. This ain't no godly act. That's why I was like laughing earlier when I like heard some of this stuff. I'm like, so you gonna ask this request from God, but you're maneuvering totally out of the order of like what God wants us to operate. Like I said, if I'm operating bad too, I'm not going to be making no requests. I'm be like, I need to get my shit together. But that's the funny part with all this stuff. But hey, let me jump to the part with Paul. This will be the last part before we wrap it up. But we're going to get to his. I wanted to do it in this order because you're going to see now. Like, shout out to Paul Pierce because he's been calm this whole thing. He's like, all right, I'm going to take my shots. But it's almost like he waited to this point where he was just like, all right, it's my time to shine. But let me go ahead and play it. You're going to see.
if she can be your woman and not your mama, is unlimited. But when she goes into mama mode, there's automatic limits and barriers that come in that fuck up the relationship.
Yeah.
Because a mother and son relationship is unconditional love, but there's limits. There's boundaries to keep that relationship healthy.
Yeah.
What's your situation right now?
What you mean situation?
Like,
Happy?
you got a man?
I'm dating. I'm single, but I'm dating.
Single but dating?
I am
Something serious
dating.
more than other?
No, just dating.
We gotta change because she's therapying us.
Yeah.
We gotta make this about her now.
Right. You kind of therapizing us.
Yeah.
Paul's like, I want my woman to mommy me.
Yeah.
Hold on, like, hold on, what's going on with you? This is about you. You just flipped the script on us. We over here.
Reverse Uno.
Man, you sure did.
But it was good. It was insightful.
No, we need to find out about what's going on with her. She dating, single.
Dating.
What do that entail for a 42-year-old?
I am dating.
Dating but single.
Enjoying my life. I have really good companions.
How many are you dating right now?
I'm not exclusively committed to anyone, but I have one guy that I have dated off and on for 5 years.
Got her.
We've dated for 5 years off and on.
So you was his work for 5 years?
What the fuck does exclusively committed mean?
She had me at when she said companions, like with the like what?
But this is the girl that's praying to God. Like, God sent me this great man, but I got companions. I'm not exclusively committed, aka I'm banging other guys. Like, straight joke. But I'm glad, like, Paul Pierce took all them hits because he was like, it's almost like he's like, I'm gonna ask you this question. You're gonna have to like stand on this. He was like, I don't listen to the whole God speech that you gave, the family dynamics, and you're in a situationship for 5 years. Like, nothing serious at that point. But you just think about, go back to what she was saying before. Like, man, I'm wiser now. You know, I know more now. And when I get in that relationship, I'll be able to flourish. But she's in these type of situations at this age. That's what I'm saying. So if you was with him for 5 years, that means that relationship started in your later 30s, which you should know, like, to avoid this stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the whole knowledge and stuff, she just wants to do what she wants to do. So now I think she's like, all right, let me try to settle down now and put this whole dynamic like, oh, I just wasn't prepared at that point, and I think it's better if you do it at the when you're older and stuff. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, people just, man, say you was for the streets, like you said earlier. Say, look, man, I wanted to run through a bunch of younger dudes and do me, but now I want to settle down. Just be honest. Yeah, this shit crazy. Let me keep playing this though.
Years you been his work? You still his work?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Paul.
I know what's going on now. I'm about to, no, we gonna take this sheep clothing off.
I have read the wolf teeth coming out. No, we
he
have
was somebody's work for 5 years.
We have been each other's companion for 5 years, and yeah, I have spent the block for 5 years, and it's the truth. And he doesn't like it. He's absolutely correct. He feels like I haven't provided.
Oh, your work.
We working together. Okay. We working together.
But you keeping him at bay. Or is he keeping you at bay?
He wants a relationship. He wants to be committed.
You just like the sex.
No.
Oh, let's keep it 100. How you keep somebody for 5 years? That's like for real. You can't keep nobody at a distance for 5 years. I ain't never done no shit like that.
I am not vitamin D deficient. Everything is good in that department.
No.
He wants a relationship.
She done kept him on the side until she figured out if it's something better. I see where this is going.
He just has some emotional maturity that he had to do. We're 9 years apart. He's 9 years younger than me. And so we both had to work through things, but he's had to work on his emotions, right? And his
42. So my man about what, 32, 33?
33. All right.
And this been going on for 5 years. So think about it. Like, so take it even lower. So he was in his like what about 26, 27 when they met, and she was in her mid 30s. So this is the person that's like you come into a session with her in her office, and she's walking you through why your situation is bad, and she's like this whole time making bad relationship decisions. So that's where I'm saying like this is what's crazy about it. But she was like talking about spin the block. So Paul got her because at this point she's like dancing around it. She's like, oh shit.
Intense insecurities around being in a
And
relationship.
you've been waiting on it. Like what's the problem? Why y'all not together?
Just because of that,
So you waiting on that?
No, I'm not waiting on it. And I don't have him waiting.
So the D is good.
Oh,
Let's keep it. I mean, that's what it's like, dude. Let's
He
Let's
put
keep it
on
100.
his red pajamas and feel like he's supposed to get spicy
This
tonight.
is clear. This is clear.
Oh my god!
I know her. She's from Long Beach.
I'm
Don't try to come
You
with
have
the
a problem.
suit jacket,
Yeah,
the
man,
boots. You still and the glow.
You know what I mean?
You still from Long
Yeah, I'm
Beach.
still-
Not from Inglewood. I can see that.
I am from San Pedro, a small.
But the other thing, like that's funny about this whole dynamic now. Shout out to Paul Pierce for turning up. Just think what it's like. Okay, she tried to like flip it on the guy, like he was emotionally immature. Then why the hell are you attached to that for 5 years? That makes no sense. When you was just saying like the older you get, the more options you have. Because that'd be like if me and you are talking about we have options and all this. Man, that person should have been gone like year one after you seen some of them red flags. You're like, all right, let me move on and get somebody else that's healthy. So the fact like Paul's kind of pulling out, he's doing it jokingly, but this is like, why the fuck are you attached to that for 5 years? This is where it's like something's wrong with you, or you don't have that many options. And she's a pretty girl, so it's like you shouldn't be struggling. So that's what I'm saying. There's an issue internally with her. But this is why, she couldn't find something earlier because it's like she has suitors, but it's almost like she's addicted to toxicity, kind of by what she's laying out. Because anybody that would like attach to a situation that isn't favorable like that, and then you're describing it like that, emotionally immature and stuff, like, well, they're kind of young shit. But you're latching on to it is crazy.
Yeah.
Community,
nah,
the
same
city of
thing.
Los Angeles.
Oh, what was that?
Because well, I'm gonna say it like this. I don't know what she's targeting when she says he was emotionally immature, per se. But it's like, dude is like what 30-something years old, emotionally immature. Okay, it's one knock right there. But it's like, okay, there's a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what you mean by that. Like, granted, he ain't gonna put his business out there. Like, she ain't gonna put his business out there. But I need more descriptive details. What you mean by emotionally immature? Because for a guy that's saying that he ain't slinging his wood around and passing out babies, I mean, you can't be that much immature. So what are we talking about here exactly? That's one thing. So I don't really like wordage and verbiage without actual like some real disclaimers.
No, I'm with you on that. I think that's what I'm saying. I think it's the terminology that she's trying to, because she can't go too hard. Typically when females, they'll break up or something, they'll be like, he's verbally abusive, he's financially abusive, but she can't take that stance because she's rich. She's making a lot of money, and plus, she's still kind of tied to him. So that's where she used the emotionally, kind of verbiage and stuff. So it's just like, I gotta kind of put him down a little bit because I'm still messing with him, but it's still a bad look because it's like you're still messing with that person. But she didn't want to go. She couldn't go too hard because of the relationship been prolonged for 5 years. So it's bullshit at this point. Well, Paul hit it. Oh, go ahead.
No, because I'm saying like, I mean, granted, relationships on and off. That's pick and choose. Like, I don't really care if you choose. If that's what you choose to be in the thick of it, be in the thick of it. Because at the end of the day, everyone's working out something, right? I mean, my main thing is with this is just like, okay, you're only proclaim the only red flag that's stopping anything from you to even connect with this dude on a serious level is you quote unquote just hit the target on he's emotionally immature, whatever that specific notion is that you're claiming on. But even then, it's like, okay, within the 5-year radius on an on and off time that y'all were clicking with each other one way or the other, again, everyone's different. Some may say either you're going to make this move now, maybe not. He made it very clear. She's saying this and that as a, like, I want to, but no, there's some things you got to work on, whatever that is. The thing is that it just seems very little finicky on. Like, again, I'm not sitting here saying he ain't an option for her. It's just like, is she really, like, because again, she's not pressed to like really just move on so quickly. That's just my thing with this. It's like, it's just very,
Nah, Paul hit it because she's not into him like that. That's the issue. So it's like a comfort thing. Like he's comfortable enough, so he probably has like some attraction, but he probably don't have his stuff together financially and all that.
Yeah,
where
he may be like a good little, person to be around every now and then. Like, other than the unknown, like he's definitely a decent person to be around every now and then. You know what I'm saying? He's fun, whatever, whoop-de-whoop. But that's why I'm still saying, like, again, for me personally, it's like for someone of her stature and her level is like, as far as for what she knows, is just like, literally, if you were supposed to be quote unquote a visual framework for women that truly understands the relationship dynamics, and then here you are with an actual person on and off 5 years of your relationship, and yet you hit it off by saying he's emotionally immature. Most women that would rarely date younger, they would definitely not do it younger because of what? He's immature. So why are you still there? Apparently this is nothing but fun.
Yeah, because like you said, they'll sell it as like, oh, he's way more mature for his age and stuff like that. So that's a good point. But I think he's just mediocre. That's why she probably jumped out there, messed with some other guys. That's why she's saying like she's not exclusive to that point with him, but none of those worked out. So it's like he's the safety net guy. Like, okay, eventually I got to get good enough so I can have this kid at a later age. So I think that's what it is. So Paul Pierce that's why he's fucking with her. He's like, he's not your primary choice. But for her, the spill earlier about the options is like she don't have great options if she's hanging on to the emotionally immature guy. So that's why I said she kind of shot herself in the foot when she started making these points. And, she went that long spill in the beginning of as far as like wisdom, being patient to get what you want, goals. And now she's in a 5-year situationship with an emotionally immature guy. It's like, okay, yeah, God's going to send you that great guy. Keep praying. But let me just finish this out, and we'll be almost done after this. I just want to.
I can see through all of that.
Yes, he has great qualities.
Mhm.
He does well in all that he does with me. He just
That ain't
emotionally
what I asked you.
is.
I asked you about his job and all that.
He does well in all areas.
But
Okay,
that's my
answer
pause.
that.
Pause
He
right
does
pause.
well in
But that's my thing. He's emotionally immature, but he does well in all areas. How do you do well in all areas, but you're emotionally immature?
I'm telling you, emotionally immature means he don't make as much money. I don't like him like that, but he's good enough for right now. So if I don't get everything I want, he's plan B. This is plan B right here. So if she don't get like any other guy that can top that, so that's why she's holding out. He's plan B or plan C. Old faithful. So that's why I was going to ask you earlier, because I was like, man, a guy that's lingering around for 5 years, and it seems like she's dictating what's going on. He can't really be like an alpha guy or a dude that's like very sought after, because a guy like that is gonna be like, man, I'm knocking it down, but I'm moving on. Like I got options too. So this got to be a guy that don't have like great options, because it don't make sense that he's gonna be just like I said, she's gonna be like, hey, you're emotionally immature. You got to get yourself together before you get with me. And he's just gonna be like, okay, ma'am. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it could be because he don't got no other options, or it's because he just locked on. He's locked on them, and he's just like, hey, look, this is where I want to be here, and you're not gonna get there. You know, like I said, a lot of dudes, a lot of certain people, especially dudes, they do make this because it's funny. I seen on the internet, like this is literally like being passed out in social media, right? Where there's a dude that was with his girl and he proposed to her like so much amount of times throughout the relationship, and she finally said yes after 7 years. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I don't make these certain claims on people, but it's like, hey man, eventually something got to add up to this. So
nah, I agree with you.
Because right now the way she's angling it, she making dude look bad.
Yeah, no, I don't think people do it on purpose, but it's like when they start explaining it, that's when the truth comes out. So Paul's putting the pressure on it now. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's just very weird. Cause like now you go back and say, oh, he's very good in everything he's doing, but at the end of the day, he's still emotionally immature. You can't be emotionally mature, then you're doing great in everything you're doing.
But see, she had to blame him for some reason. That's why I was like, she just had to grasp at something because she couldn't be like, hey, I'm the one that's wrong. I'm not serious about anything after she went into the whole spill in the beginning. So that's why she was like, shit, I gotta throw something. I can't say he's broke because that's going to look bad at me. I can't say that he's not that attractive. That's going to look bad. Let me just grab something that's like low hanging fruit, emotionally immature. So I'll put that on him. But that, like you said, that's bad too. So, but she had to shift the blame because she don't want to take it on herself. Like, hey man, I'm just emotionally unstable. I got too many fucking preferences. I want everything. She can't say that. So she's got to put it on him somehow.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it's very saddening because it's like, well, which one is it? You can't sit here and say it's both. You're emotionally immature, but then yet when it comes to his everyday life and he has to handle business, he's very successful in everything he does. What? Like, how does that connect? Literally, how does that connect? How do we put the puzzle together? That don't make sense.
That's why I wish a homie, he need to come out. Because if I seen this, I would be pissed. I'd be like, oh, you know what, man? Let me hit this live. Like, man, look, she don't want to commit. I'm over here providing dick. That's it. I'm a straight up booty call. So this stuff that she's saying is false. Like, we just been smashing for 5 years. I'm out here running through all kinds of shit. That's what he need to do. I'll clear this up quick. But yeah, let me get back to it. Let me finish it out real quick. Paul on her neck though. Paul was like, all right, you was throwing all them shots earlier. But he's like, shit, I ain't letting up.
Emotionally,
I don't know. That's a broad question. What all
Paul,
areas?
You're a man, so you answer this question.
I answer.
Emotionally, he goes back and forth from I love you, I want to be with you, I'm mad because you won't be with me, you won't commit to me. And then his insecurities get the best of him. And it's like, I want you, but I'm not sure if I deserve you. I'm not sure that I can facilitate you. I'm not sure that I can be with you. So when I say emotionally instability, it's like him wanting to be with me is concrete. That's not unstable. His emotions in the relationship are just unstable to where as a man, you gotta get vertical within yourself before you can be in a relationship.
You good with these words.
I am.
You good with these words.
Listen,
because
but let me say
all
this.
These people advice.
Let me say this, Paul. He has every right to feel like what I've been doing as far as being in a relationship with him when I want to and is not something that gives him stability. However, I don't want to commit to a relationship with a man who I feel emotionally is not in a place of being able to be in a healthy relationship.
So why are you messing?
Yeah, hold on.
Why are you playing mental games with him?
I'm not playing mental games with him. It's not mental games. It's all transparency.
Why is it still sex involved?
How do you know we sexing? We could just be having a
Because you from Long Beach, I know.
Oh my God.
You can't play me.
I know how y'all get out there. It is transparent. He understands. I understand. I understand what he wants. He understands why I don't want to commit at this moment with him, which is the emotional piece that him and I talk about openly. I support him in it. I hold space for him in it. We've talked about it intensively, and he understands it. And he's
come here.
That's
sit.
this is why I agree with Paul. It's cap because you're creating an emotional. I mean, he's weak. Let me just put that out there because any guy that stick around for 5 years asking somebody why they don't commit, she just don't like you like that. Because man, if a female like you and y'all got longevity, shit, after year one, she could be looking at you like, man, why ain't we getting married? We need to. She could damn near be trying to put you on a timeline. But she said a couple buzzwords that it's like she was like, well, he's insecure. He's this and this. Well, it's like, man, you're openly said kind of behind your jargon that you're smashing other people. So it's like, man, you got this cat that he's kind of probably like a little bit of a beta. He's infatuated. You're smashing other people. So, man, he's insecure. Yeah, because like Paul said, you're kind of playing with him at this point. But since you ain't got great options, you got to hang on to that. So that's all this is, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree on this one now. Because
yeah,
you know he ain't. If he ain't standing on 10 toes, then it's like, why are you still dealing with someone that ain't standing on 10 toes?
yeah.
And that's my thing. Is like, and I'm glad she finally explained it. Cause I'm like, yeah, if you ain't standing on 10 toes, then yeah, sorry, bro. You just gotta have to miss out on your opportunity until you do step on 10 toes.
Well, because she kind of threw a swipe when she was like, "Oh, he's not a vertical or something like that," and when Paul was like,
Right,
"Hey,
that's
man,
why
you're using."
That's what I'm basically saying 10 toes. I think vertical is like up and down. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like you don't want that. Because if a guy actually had the emotional stability, and it's almost like when females like, "I want an emotionally intelligent guy." I'm like, "No, y'all don't." Because if a guy was truly emotionally intelligent, he will avoid you because he will understand that you got drama and you're kind of on some bullshit. So it's like with her, she's like, I want this, like you said, a guy that stands 10 tones down. It's like, no, you don't, because he wouldn't have never been in this predicament with you. So you actually want him in a weakened state. You know what I'm saying? You're just, like I said, she got to kind of blame him for something. So that's why she went on the emotional stuff. But it's just like, nah, you actually like it. That's why you've been there for 5 years. Like, let's stop playing.
That's why Paul Pierce was like, so you was bailing with your work.
Yeah.
That did consistent. I'm like, this thing.
But a lot of times that's why they do like they try to go after younger guys because they think like they could control them. But typically like those young dudes are just smashing. So eventually that dynamic's gonna change with the younger guys and go like, yeah, you thought I was a punk? Nah, I'm about to go on and move on and stuff like that. So that's why they end up losing, man. Because think about it, 5 years. She done invested 5 years in this dude, knowing he's emotionally unstable, whatever word she used, and time is just passing her by. To the point, it's like eventually, man, you're gonna get in your later 40s and you're just gonna have to throw a Hail Mary at that point because ain't nobody gonna be single at damn 50. So she gonna have to keep on dropping down and down. So that's where she's keeping herself stuck in that dynamic, and none of this is wise. So yeah, this whole thing was like a big contradiction. But shout out to Paul Pierce for pulling this out. Let me just see what else he says. But he done turned up at the end.
All right, let him off the leash. Go ahead.
That's what I'm doing?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh,
Come here.
Well, you know what? If that's what I'm doing, I'll say this, and people gonna be mad. And I'm okay. If I'm doing what Paul said,
come here.
I'd much rather be the one walking you at the dog park than the one on the leash. If that's true.
That's exactly.
So that means,
Come on.
to my point, at 42, I'm not opt out. We are not opt out. Okay, we have options, and we are not on the leash. We can actually be the one holding the leash. It's all about your standards. It's all about you understanding who you are and you standing in and on your square.
Right, but the ones you're controlling
Period.
on the leash
There's
are
men out there who
younger.
show
There's
up
a
in any
reason why you can
capacity
do
we
that.
want. We don't have to settle. And we don't have to settle at a certain time. We can do what we want. Because I tell you one thing I'm not doing. I ain't doing time, but I ain't spending a whole lot of time with who I want, when I want. And both of us are enjoying it, getting what we want.
Come on.
All right, we'll stop it there. But that was some bullshit because it's like you are settling. If you with somebody that's like how you're explaining them, you definitely settled because that ain't the description is not the guy that's at the top that most females is like asking for certain credentials and characteristics. So yeah, you absolutely settled. So yeah, that was all cap at the end.
You know how they say it, women are just the most selfish creatures. In a sense.
But the sad thing is, man, anybody that's getting information from her and they can't carry out none of this stuff and they're attached. I'm sorry, man. I like people that got outcomes that I want to get to. Not saying that you can't get information from anybody, but in this case, I damn sure wouldn't be holding on to too much information from her, man. I think there's very solid women out here that got that's actually living it. I think that's a component I always like with people. I like people that like lead by example. You know, it's like you're actually doing the stuff that you say, but it's like, man, when you're doing the totally opposite, yeah, you might have some solid points because some of the stuff I agreed with, but you know, it was kind of like common sense stuff. But the stuff that where it comes to like taking action and stuff, and she ain't living it, yeah, get somebody else that could walk you through those dynamics. But all right, y'all, man, we gonna get up out of here. Shout out to Wally for pulling up with your boy tonight. Yeah, we wanted to do this review and stuff, so y'all keep tuning in. Peace out.